Well guys, back to this 12 valve Cummins project that I've been working on here, and I finally got the head bolts, so that's a good thing. We're going to get the head on this Cummins today, and hopefully by the end of this weekend get this thing out of my garage, because I've got a 12 valve of my own that I want to pull the head off and do an overhead on it and re-gasket it. So anyhow, I waited until about 6 o'clock last night at Cummins waiting on these head bolts. And nobody could get a hold of the driver. The driver wouldn't answer his cell phone, or nobody could track him down or anything. Well, apparently the driver ended up twisting off in the middle of the day and said to hell with it, probably went to the house and drank some cold beer. So anyhow, nobody got their parts. So I threw a fit at Cummins there, and they ended up delivering these 4 head bolts to the house here. So they made a 120-mile trip to make their customer happy. Can't beat Cummins. So we're going to get this head on this Cummins today, guys. One other thing that I got, this is a brake spring kit for a Dodge that I've been working on. This is, y'all haven't seen this truck yet, but this is another project that I'm working on. Here's some flange gaskets for the exhaust. So they say it doesn't feel like flange gaskets, it feels like some little lightweight O-rings in there. And then this here is a water inlet connection gasket, and a few of the other gaskets that I need, the thermostat inner gasket and all that good stuff. So this here is another Cummins that I'm working on as well. This is for the 12 valve with the P pump. This is a fuel shutoff solenoid, and these things are about $300 and some odd from Cummins. So yeah, they don't give these away. Comes with a brand new little bracket, which probably never used. And yesterday I got in the mail this orange and gray shoe box, which is pretty cool. At first I wasn't for sure what was inside of it. After I opened it up, this is what I found. My buddy Grotto1 sent me a hat. I can't believe Grotto1 sent me a hat. I feel pretty honored about that. That's definitely a nice hat. And black's my favorite color, so that worked out really well. Thanks, Grotto1. Appreciate it, buddy. Now guys, I was getting ready to set this head on this Cummins here, and I took the head and I flipped it up on its side. Well, whenever I done that, I didn't quite get my finger out of the way in time, and it kind of cut my finger clean down a bone, and it kind of broke that little finger right there. I heard it pop pretty loud whenever it happened, so yeah, that kind of sucks in a way right there. But this ain't going to stop us from building this motor here, guys. So I'm going to get a little cleaning up done on this finger, and we're going to install this head right here on this Cummins. Well guys, this is what I do on the head gaskets here. This is a copper that I put on this head gasket, and this is just a copper head gasket sealer. It's made by Permatex, and whenever I install in a head gasket, this is what I use. So that's what it looks like after you get done spraying it. Turns it a nice copper color. And here's what it used to look like. So this is what I use here. So the next step is going to be just get my head up here. The thing weighs a lot, so I'm going to get my neighbor to come over and help me real quick and set this on here, and we'll go from there, guys. Now guys, I got the head set on the Cummins here, and I could see why people have head gasket problems. If you remember on the Dodges, the firewall sits about right here to where you got to keep this head picked up and slide the head in there and then set it down. If you just try to slide the head in on the head gasket, you're going to ruin your head gasket. This here was a straight shot, and it's still hard enough for the way it was, you know. So what I'm doing now, guys, is just putting some machine oil on the threads of the bolts, and we're going to bolt this down. So this is what I'm doing here, guys. Here's one of the head bolts. Let me pan this camera up here. So this is one of the head bolts here, and this in here just holds down the rocker arm assembly. All I'm doing now is coming back in here, and I just set these up temporarily, but is all I'm doing is coming back in here to this rocker arm assembly, flipping things upside down, and putting the luber plate, the assembly lube, to this thing. So we don't have any spots. It's got dry friction in this motor when we first crank it up, and this will keep things lubed up until we get some motor oil through the system. So I'm going to drop the push rod down into the tappet. I've already put assembly lube in the tappets down here whenever before I put the side cover on. So as you can see, they have plenty of luber plate down there, assembly lube. So it's just a matter of dropping those down in there, guys, and then putting just a little bit on your valves, which I've already put some on the rockers, but I'm just going to go ahead and put some more. This stuff is pretty expendable, you know. Use it as you got to. So you come back in here and then drop your rocker arm assembly back on top of things. Make sure this thing doesn't slide forward and back, so you know you got it locked down into place. And then I've already put machine oil on the threads of these bolts, so I'm just going to run these in here like this for now. One other thing that I've done is come back in here to all the valves. I've already backed all the valves off, so nothing's going to get tight whenever I go to torquing these bolts down, these head bolts right here. So the first torque step that we're going to do is 66 pounds. We're going to torque everything down to 66 pounds. I've got a book here that tells me the rotation of the bolts that we're supposed to do, which if you need the information, you can pull that off the internet. So after you've torqued them all down to 66 pounds, you're going to go back and retorque all of them once again. And you'll find out that the ones that you torqued in the center are now loose again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and torque everything down to 90 pounds. And whenever I torque everything down to 90 pounds, I don't want to be torquing these short screws down. So what we're going to do is we're just going to torque all the long screws down to 90 pounds. So once you've torqued everything down to 90 pounds, you're going to go back and retorque everything again to 90 pounds, except for the short caps. We're not going to mess with the short bolts at all right now. But we're going to recheck all the long bolts to 90 pounds one more time. So now that we got them, all the long screw caps torqued down to 90 pounds and checked once again, all these bottom short, smaller bolts were torqued down to 66 pounds. So now what we're going to do is just come in here and start from number 1. And your wrench ain't going to quite fit on a quarter, but you got to figure where a quarter is. It's actually, you're going to turn all these bolts 90 degrees without your torque wrench. So you're going to, like I said, come here and turn them a quarter. So you're going to go ahead and do that with all of them now, even the short bolts. So what we're going to do now, guys, is torque these rocker arm support bolts down to 18 pounds. The old famous 18 pounds. Well, guys, right now I got this motor set on top dead center here, and of course my timing marks are lined up here, and on the back side of the camshaft gear I have the little pin locked in. So right there we're on top dead center, guys. So now we're going to adjust a few of these valves. So first things are first, I've got the filler gauge out now, and I've got a 14mm wrench, and I have a flathead screwdriver, and I have my filler gauge. This in here being the intake, we're going to set it at 10 thousandths. So and it's got to have some resistance on it. After you get everything screwed down and torqued down, there's supposed to be some resistance. So let's go ahead and set this up here. So as you can see, it just doesn't fall out, but it does have resistance. So resistance is good, and that's where we want it at. So I'm just going to snug this down just a little bit more. Check it one more time, and it still has some resistance. So that's the intake valve, and now we're going to do the exhaust valve here. So let's do this here. And like I said, you do want some resistance. You don't want to crank down so tight to where your filler gauge don't fit in there, and you don't want it so loose that you're actually gapping it wider than 20 thousandths. So that there is good. I'm just going to snug this down just a hair more. So now we're going to come back and torque those two down to 18 pounds, and I've already got my torque wrench here set to 18 pounds. So now that we got it torqued down here, we're going to check it one more time. Okay guys, so let me show you kind of what I've done here. This is cylinder number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so on number 1 is what I've done is I've set the intake to 10 thousandths and the exhaust to 20 thousandths. Hi Pumpkin. That's my daughter, guys. So anyway, so I set the intake and exhaust on cylinder number 1. Cylinder number 2, we're just going to set the intake, in which I've already done that. So that's the intake on cylinder number 2. And then cylinder number 3, we're going to set the exhaust here, and that was it's set right there, as you can see, at 20 thousandths on the exhaust. And then we're going to go to cylinder number 4, and we're going to set the intake on that, and that right there is set to 10 thousandths. And then we're going to go to cylinder number 5, and on the exhaust is all we're going to set on this one, and it's set to 20 thousandths on the exhaust. So that's the only valves you're going to set for now. Is what we're going to do is take our locking pin down there behind the camshaft and disengage it. We're going to turn this motor 360 degrees as the next step. Okay guys, so I've rotated the crankshaft 360 degrees, which is one full turn, and I'm going to come back in here now and adjust the exhaust valve on cylinder number 2, the intake on cylinder number 3, the exhaust on cylinder number 4, and then the intake on cylinder number 5, and the intake and exhaust on cylinder number 6. And just remember what I said about the filler gauge. You go 10 thousandths on your intake, and you go 20 thousandths on the exhaust. Well guys, my finger will not stop bleeding, so I guess I might have to go get a couple of stitches in it. But first, I'm going to eat my grilled cheese sandwich, I'm going to drink my Budweiser, and I guess I'm going to go get a couple of stitches. We'll finish this motor up tomorrow, guys. Thanks for watching. If you ain't subscribed, subscribe. We'll see you later. Bye.